So now we're at, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Seip Earthworks. So Seip Earthworks. This is one of the, I believe it's one of the earlier mounds to be excavated and to be identified as what they now call the Hopewell culture. That is, of course, not what these people called themselves. Hopewell was the name of the farmer who owned the land that the mounds sat on. This one's a big boy.
Seip Earthworks, when I got home, I learned it's pronounced Seip, during its heyday of 100 BC to 500 AD, was one of the most important cultural centers of the North American continent. Barely anything of it remains today, save for a reconstruction of its largest mound, but it once was comprised of 2 miles of earthen walls surrounding 120 acres of land in the shape of 2 massive circles, which were connected to a 27-acre square, all of which were aligned to astrological phenomena. We see here the central mound, which is a partial reconstruction, and it is one of the largest burial mounds of the Hopewell culture, at 240 feet long, 160 feet wide, and 30 feet high. It was a massive grave which contained over 100 burials of people of importance. Underneath the mound are the remains of 2 large buildings which were connected by a smaller structure, all of which were intentionally burned down and intentionally buried. Found here are some amazing artworks, such as the famous clay Seip head, as well as many copper artifacts and surviving fragments of Hopewell clothing and cloth. And the site represents a common theme in Hopewell earthworks, namely plazas made up of interconnected circles and squares containing mounds and other smaller earthworks, and all of them constructed to specific units of measurement and astrological alignment. They represent a common engineering method, belief system, and intentional planning that shaped the lands of what we now call the Midwest. And just think of it. Think of all these amazing structures that once covered every inch of an area we now know to be home to some of the most ignorant and inbred people in all of the world. Ohio, a state whose most abundantly built structures are ice cream stands, cholesterol-laden burger joints, and craft breweries, in a state that is swelling with people who have only one goal on their minds: to isolate in their gated communities, to sit behind their fences and their homes, which burst at the seams with needless consumer goods, to ingest enough carbohydrates and sugars so as to win the title of most obese people in the world, and to finally finish their meaningless specks of lives and one final glory in the form of a mall shooting and AK-47 wielding suicide by cop, or in a Fox News-induced haze and momentary lapse of reason by driving their Pontiac Vibe through a crowd of left-leaning protesters, and then rotting away in the jail cell for 50 years on after that, their night of greatest glory. What a land these Hopewell prepared and shaped for us, the colonizing settlers who came here with no idea what to do with their earthworks and plowed them all down to make room for vape shops.